Aloha and welcome to another lesson. This is going to be a rather short lesson. Some of the concepts we've covered in our previous lesson, but the section that we're doing now is called Detecting Equal Values with Branches. So let me go ahead and pull up VS Code again here, since that's my favorite editor of choice. So I'm going to share the screen with you really quickly here. So we're going to start by talking about the equality operator. I spoke about this a little bit in our previous lecture. We use the double equal sign for equality. And remember, it's not the assignment operator, which is a single equal sign. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to use the equality to determine whether or not the values on the left and right-hand side of that equality operator are true. So if it is true, then we're going to execute the next statement. So remember what I said about in our previous lesson, that in the if statement here, we have a Boolean expression. This is going to evaluate to either true or false. And depending on that value of being true or false, if it's true, we'll execute this. If not, we'll move to the next statement. The next statement is a catch-all. So if it's not true, then regardless of what that is, well, it can only be false at this point, but we're going to go down here and we're going to say print not quite the same for this one. So what we've done in this example is we've got two numbers. We've got my number, we've got your number. And if the numbers are the same, we're going to have it say great minds think alike. If it's not, then we're going to have it say not quite the same. So we're going to check for that equality, and then we're going to run the first or the second. So if we go ahead and clear out our screen here and we hit the magic run key, we see that they're not quite the same. What happens if we go down here and we try 4? Well, let's go ahead and hit the run key and we say, oh, great, 4 and 4 are equal. Great minds think alike. Now let's think of something a little bit different. So we've got two things here, 4 and 4. They're both integers. What happens if we take this and make it the string 4? Do you think it'll evaluate as the same? Let's take a look. So we have not quite the same here. So let's take it a little bit further. Remember I said that this right here is going to evaluate to true or false? Well, the first thing I want to do is actually check and see what is the value that we come up with. And then the next thing I want to see is what is the type that we come up with. Remember I mentioned that everything that we evaluate there is going to come out to a Boolean. So let's go ahead and clear our results out here and take another run at it. So we see that it's not quite the same. And we see that my num equals your num evaluates the false. And the type of that expression's evaluation is a Boolean type. So here, if you ever want to check the type of something that's coming out, you can just use type there. So let's say we wanted to check the type of your inputs there. So let's say type of my number. We can go in here and we can clear that out and then run this. We can see that my number is equal to int. If we go ahead and change that to 4.0 and we run that again, we see that it's a float. So using type is a nice way. If you're having strange behaviors, if you check out your type, sometimes you'll find that you may have differences. Let's say you want to see the difference between, let's see what happens here. Are these equal in the eyes of Python? Let's take a run at it and see. Yes, they are. They're treated as equal. Their 4.0 is treated as the same as 4. So it comes out to equal. That is still a Boolean, and the type of this is float. So if we want to take a look at the value of your number, we could do this, and let's run that, and it's int. So comparing a float and an int is going to it's going to cast one, convert it to the type of the other one, and then they'll be realized as equal there. So that's pretty interesting. So the next thing that we're going to look at is inequality. So we've just tested equality. Now we're going to take a look at inequality. So before we do that, we'll go ahead and comment this out. Remember I said that you use the command / key to do that. Then we come down here and we pop in the code that I've got waiting in the wings. So we're going to look at the inequality operator, and the inequality is the exclamation mark equals sign. Some people call that the bang equals. The bang is the exclamation mark. So bang equals, that's our inequality operator, and it checks to see if the values on the left and the right-hand side are not equal. So here we're going to start out again with my number equals 4, your number equals 5. If my number is not equal to your name, we say not quite the same. Else we say print great minds think alike. Notice that there's a difference between what we're doing here. Because we've switched the equality operator there, up here we said if it's equal, we're going to say great minds alike. But here we're saying if it's not equal, we're going to say the opposite. So we're having to switch the positions of everything here. So we evaluate this. If this evaluates true, then we're going to say not quite the same. And if otherwise, it's going to be the same. So we're going to say great minds think alike. So now we're going to test that out, and we're also doing the test down here to show that you know what that evaluates to, and also over here what the type comes out to. So those should not be a surprise at this point. So we see that they're not quite the same. 4 and 5 are not the same, and so that's it's evaluating as false, and the type is Boolean as we expected. So the last thing that this section covers is something that we already covered in the previous section, so I'm not going to really belabor that, but we're going through, and you can use if, else, if, else branches. And technically in Python, these aren't else if, it would be elif, E-L-I-F. So we can test for various things as we did the last time with the anniversary example. So we can have a multi-type one where we can test not just one thing and then have the catch-all. We can do as many as we want. We could have 100 different things in here, and then we could include or not include a catch-all at the end. So over here we had number of years married, 25. So if the number of years married is 1, we set the anniversary type to newlyweds. If it's 25, we set it to silver, 50, golden. Anything else is going to be just congrats because we really don't have a name for it. So then we print it out. And then over here, just like last time, we could try out the different types here. But first, did I comment out everything before? Yes, I did. So let's go ahead and run this. Let's clear the screen first and run it. And what do, oops. Yeah, I didn't actually comment out everything before. Let me go ahead and comment this out so it's not so messy. So I'll go over here and comment this out with our handy dandy little command /. Then when we run it, it'll be a little bit cleaner. So, oops, hold on, run it. Do we not have it printing? Hold on, let's clear this out. We're going to be printing the anniversary type, and when we run it, it's going to say silver. So we expect that it's 25. It's going to evaluate true here, and it's going to print. It's going to set anniversary type to silver and print it here. What if we set this to 1? Then we run it, and we see. Hold on. That's probably. Let me save this and run it, and we see it's newlyweds. What happens if we change that to 50? And we go and we save it, and then we execute it. It's golden. That's what we expect. What if we have an oddball year like 3? And we go save it and execute. What does that come out to? It says congrats because it doesn't fit into any one of these categories. It's going to be caught by the catch-all, the else, and it's going to set anniversary type to congrats and print it over here. So that is what a multi-line if statement looks like. And remember, you can have as many of these as you like. You can put in 1, 2, 100, or just you have the 1, and you can also have the catch-all at the bottom. You can leave it out if you want as well. So those are the things that we've covered. We covered the equality operator, which is the double equal sign. It evaluates to a Boolean. Then we have for inequality, the bang equals, the not equals, the inequality operator. And that's used to see if the things on the left and right-hand side of that operator are not true. So if they're not true, it'll execute. So that wraps up this lesson. As I promised, it was a short lesson. So now we'll be going into the next part, which is detecting ranges with branches. So if you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.